Alrighty, here we are. Today we're going to be making Brazilian stroganoff. Brazilian stroganoff is very different from the stroganoff that we make here in the U.S. It's one of my favorite Brazilian dishes. My husband's just now figuring out what I'm doing. And I want to show you how to make it. It's a pretty easy dish to make, and it's a real crowd pleaser every time. I'm going to start by making Brazilian rice, which is very delicious. I'm going to start by chopping some onions. I was less nervous when you were not here. I'm not a professional, so I'm not one of those that you're going to see chopping super fast. I'm really careful about chopping onions because I sliced my finger open about 7 years ago. Had about 7 or 8 stitches and the most painful anesthesia shot I ever had in my life. So I don't want to repeat that. As you can see by my onions going all over the place, I am definitely not a professional at this. If I had my choice, I would have Cutco knives. Hopefully someday I'll have some of those again. Best knives I've ever used. I'm going to go ahead and cut both of these small onions because I'm going to use one for the rice and the other one for the stroganoff. If any of you watched that movie, The Help, someone says in there that if you want to keep from getting all teary-eyed when you chop onions, that you should hold a lit match in your mouth while you're doing it. I've never tried it personally, so I really don't know. We do have granite countertops here, so I could be chopping right on those if I wanted, but I'm not a big fan. When chopping the onions for the stroganoff, I can cut larger pieces of the onions. Our family likes onions, but we don't like a lot of overwhelming onion flavor, so even for the rice I'm not going to use a whole bunch. I took this saucepan and I put just a little bit of oil in the bottom of it. I'm going to take some of the onion. Like I said, our family doesn't like a whole lot of onion, so I'm not going to put a whole lot in here for the rice I'm going to make. That's all ready to go there. Now I'm going to get some garlic ready that I'll use both in the rice and the stroganoff. I'm not a professional at this either, but one thing that I did learn recently to get the skin off the garlic fast is to just cut it like this, right there. And that makes it a lot easier. Fresh garlic is kind of tedious to prepare, but it's totally worth it, that flavor that you get. My eyes are starting to get teary right now. Usually when I do this, I'll go stick my head in the freezer. I am one of those people that you cannot put too much garlic in a dish, so my family likes it just fine, but not everybody likes this much garlic in their food. Now I'm preparing some for both the stroganoff and the rice. In this particular dish, stroganoff, the preparation is really what takes the most time. The actual cooking time is not too bad. to stick my head in the freezer. C'est bon. Not everyone completely pulls all the skin off the garlic before putting it in the garlic press, but I just find that you will get a lot more garlic out of it if you do that, so that's why I go to that extra trouble. Okay, put a couple of these in here. One more little one in there. Let's get our salt ready. Where's the salt, baby? So I've got here in our saucepan a little bit of oil in the bottom, the least amount possible, some onion and some fresh garlic. I'm going to start the fire on that. The rice takes longer to cook than the stroganoff, and the rice stays hot longer, so it's really better to prepare it before the stroganoff. While I'm doing that, I'm going to get water that I need. That's my husband being goofy. I'd always been taught that when it comes to making rice that you want to do 2 parts water to 1 part rice. I have found in the real world that it's really better not to do that. For our family, we use 1 cup of uncooked rice and 1.5 cups of water. It works out very well. So we're waiting for the onions and the garlic to saute a little bit in the oil. You can use olive oil if you want. Some of our family members have allergies to olive oil, so I just use canola. Wait for those to start sizzling a little bit. Of course, I love gas stoves. We don't have one in this house, but we start out by sauteing both the onions and the garlic, and in a second I'm going to add the uncooked rice. You got to be careful not to burn the garlic. It's very easy to do that, so you got to keep a close eye on it. saute that I'm doing here is the basis for most Brazilian cooking. The most common seasonings you see in Brazilian cooking is garlic, onion, and salt, and of course a little bit of oil in the bottom. This is how most dishes are started out. Our garlic is starting to get a little bit golden, so now I'm going to do something that makes Brazilian rice different from American rice. I'm going to add the uncooked rice, and we're actually going to saute the uncooked rice and the mixture of the onions and garlic together for a little bit. That's my 2-year-old son over there. He can smell the cooking and he's excited. So I've added the uncooked rice. I'm going to wait for it to start sizzling just a little bit, and then at that point I'm going to add the water. My stepdaughter's in a cooking class in her high school, and she made this dish for her classmates. She practiced it 2 times at home before doing it in the classroom. Okay, now that I've sauteed the rice a little bit, I'm going to add 1.5 cups of water. Hear that sizzle? I'm going to mix this up, and now I'm going to add the salt. One thing that really sets apart Brazilian cooking from American cooking is salt. They use a lot of salt. And something that's different from our cooking from theirs is that we tend to have a lot of sweet dishes. And we tend to mix savory and sweet a lot. That is not something that is done in Brazil. And it's one reason why a lot of American food is not very popular with Brazilians. For example, we'll take beans, and we'll add ketchup and mustard and sugar, or brown sugar or something like that. That's something that's very strange to them, and most of them don't like that kind of thing. I'm going to wait for this to get to a boil. See if I can find the top to that pan. This is it. Okay, we've gotten to a boil. I'm going to take it now to simmer, and I'm going to set the timer for 15 minutes. And now we're ready to go ahead with our stroganoff. I've taken this large pan and I've melted 1/2 stick of butter in the bottom, and now I'm going to saute the onions. Chop a few more of these here. Let's clean out our garlic press here. I was very fortunate to get this garlic press at a yard sale. This is a Pampered Chef garlic press, one of the best ones you can find. And I got it brand new out of the box for $5 at a yard sale. Been using it for years. Alright, let's add some of this garlic. Cut one Okay, that looks like enough garlic. I'm going to turn that heat a little bit higher. And like I said, I need to add a little bit more chicken because we don't have quite enough for this recipe. I like to buy the organic chicken from Publix, but you don't get a whole lot in a package. And drain the water. Love this Valley Fresh organic chicken chunks. They have non-organic too. The organic is kind of expensive, but it's very good. Put that right there. We're sauteing the onions and garlic and butter over here for the stroganoff, and add a little bit more melted butter. I think we're going to need it in order to saute the chicken. Go ahead and open this can of tomato sauce. And I'm also going to open a can of cream. Fortunate where we live, we can actually buy the real Brazilian imported cream. If I was in Brazil, this is exactly what I would use for this recipe. If you don't have that, you can also use this table cream, or sometimes you'll see a version of it that's from Mexico as well. Get our onions nice and golden brown before we add the chicken. I'm going to get another ingredient that's important in this recipe. Uh-oh. Baby, we don't have any. Baby? It's almost empty. Did you see those little bags of chips that I think there was like Doritos or Fritos or something? Okay, yeah. Well, we don't have as many of these as I thought. This is what goes on top of the meal after you've prepared it. Shoestring potatoes. We're out of these, but I discovered another time that we ran out. Doritos actually taste really delicious on top too. Really anything that's kind of crunchy and salty is going to make it good, but this is what they do in Brazil. They use these shoestring potatoes on top of potato sticks. Go ahead and add the raw chicken. I'm going to wait a little while to add the canned chicken because this is fully cooked chicken. You can already see by looking at this is not going to make a very big recipe. We definitely needed to add the extra chicken to it. that chicken cook all the way through. Wash my hands. I try to only buy organic meat when I can. The organic red meat is usually very expensive, so usually we just get organic chicken. And I'm going to go ahead and add some salt to this. Turn the temperature down a little bit because some of this garlic is starting to get brown. I don't have a recipe with exact amounts of everything. I just kind of wing it every time, see how much we're going to need for our family size. This is our dog Copper, just off camera. I think he likes the smell. You like that smell, don't you? I'm going to go ahead and add the tomato sauce at this point. I think that's going to help to keep the garlic from burning. And this is another thing you have to kind of experiment with to see how much tomato sauce you need. I'm going to go ahead and add the canned chicken. One thing different, in Brazil most of the time they'll use ketchup instead of tomato sauce, but ketchup in Brazil does not have added sugar like our ketchup in the U.S. So if we add our ketchup to this recipe, it ends up making it taste kind of weird, kind of too sweet. So go ahead and add this extra chicken. I think I'm going to get one more can of extra chicken. I think we're going to need it. And I don't have any of the organic left. This is the same brand. It's the other kind. And what's also different about it is the organic. No, I guess the organic was also popped up. I'm going to drain the water. Mommy. Yeah, baby, go. Daddy's in charge of the TV right now. Okay, I'm just going to throw that in there, and now we got lots of chicken for this recipe. That'll be good. See how much time we got left on the rice. minutes left on the rice. My best friend is from Brazil, and she's Jewish, and I wish I knew how to make this recipe in a way that was kosher, but once you add the cream, then you're mixing milk with meat. It's not kosher. My son is in the background and kind of whining a little bit because he can smell the food and he's hungry. Some of this chicken wasn't cooked all the way through, so I need to let it go a little bit longer. But I can go ahead and add the mustard. In this recipe, a lot of recipes call for a lot more mustard. I personally like to use maybe about 1 tablespoon. It just gives it just enough of the kick that it needs. One of the times that my stepdaughter made this at home, she grabbed a bottle of honey mustard not knowing that it was different. So she actually made it with honey mustard one time, but it was pretty good. This is getting close to the point where we need to add the cream. Since this can of cream is bigger than the other one that we had, this should probably be enough for this recipe. My stepdaughter just woke up. She doesn't know that she might be on camera if she comes too far this way, so my camera's over there in the cabinet. But this should be enough for our recipe. Normally what you would do is make sure that the chicken is cooked all the way through before you add the tomato sauce. I did add it a little bit early, but it's gotten to a point now where I need to cut the fire off, and our rice is ready. What I do with this rice is I just turn off the burner, but I leave the rice right where it is. It's not going to get messed up. It's going to stay nice and hot. It's going to be good. However, I'm going to go ahead and pull some of this rice out for my son. He was very hungry and waiting to eat. So we can go ahead and get cooled off for him. Matter of fact, I think I'll put it in the fridge for a little bit. Okay, once we've taken the stroganoff off the burner, that's when it's time to add the cream. You do not put the cream in it as you're cooking. You don't want to cook it like that. Let's get this can up in here. Okay. Here we go. This cream is really thick this time. Usually it comes out a little more watery than this. You get a good look at it there and mixing the cream, and that's what gets it that nice color, that nice, I'm not sure what you would call that color, but that's the color that stroganoff, Brazilian stroganoff, looks like. It looks like I got a little bit too much cream in there, and that's okay because we got plenty of tomato sauce left to add to it. This is going to be a nice, large amount. This will be good for our family. serving spoon. Now let's see how the dish is actually served. I'm going to take some rice and put it on the bottom. I'll just do a small portion here. I'm going to take some of the stroganoff, put it over top. And some shoestring potatoes. Go right over the top of it. And there you have Brazilian stroganoff made with chicken. Bless you. You can also make this with beef. My personal preference is chicken, but there it is.